Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we have an agricultural science paper, paper 2 for you guys. Now I'm not sure if it is a double award or single award. All I know, found it online, right? And I know it's a 2024 paper, major one because it's stamped right there. But what I don't know if it's a paper, if it's a single award or double award. Nonetheless, we're going to roll right through because the content is still applicable regardless, right? Because there are certain things you still have to cover for both single and double award. All right, so let's just run through this one right quick. But you know what to do. Like, subscribe so you know when Learn SKN drops another agricultural video. All right, so number one, define the term marketing as it relates to the agricultural production. So let's just jump to our handy dandy textbook as we outline what we speak to. So agricultural marketing includes all the services involved in moving an agricultural product from the farm to the consumer. That's basically what marketing is, whether it is agricultural or not. It's all about how you get the steps you take to get your product from the producer to the consumer, everything in between. So that's marketing, right? So for agricultural marketing, includes all the services involved in moving an agricultural product from the farm to the final consumer. And that is agricultural marketing, or marketing in a nutshell. So straight up, 1 time, 2 marks. Easy, just like that. All right, B. Mary produces vegetables on her 1 hectare farm. She gathers information from the Ministry of Agriculture's website regarding the demand and selling price for vegetables in the main market segments in her country. Table 1 shows the quantity demanded and the retail prices for each market segment. All right, so we have the table right here, right? And we have hotels, restaurants, supermarkets, greengrocers. The quantity demanded, we have the different ones: 100, 300, 150, 250, 200, sorry. And you see the retail price, $20, $10, $10, and $6. So this one asking, suggest the best market segment to which Mary can supply her vegetables. All right, so for me, the best market segment would be hotels, right? The hotels, 100 kilograms, $20 per kilogram. So understand that when you're looking at the law of supply and demand, when you're a supplier, your real concern is the price at which you can sell your produce for. So the higher the price, the more you want to supply. The higher the price, the more you want to supply. So if the hotels are saying $20 per kilogram, well then by all means I supply in the hotels because the price is right, the price is the highest, right? So the best segment would be the hotels based on the laws of supply and demand. All right, state. So just for you guys to see, jump to the textbook. We say here, supply is a quantity of a commodity that is placed in the market at a particular time and at a particular price. This is not the entire stock. It is only the amount that is placed in the market at a particular price. And with demand, the supply of a product is directly related to the price, right? Is directly related to the price of the product. Sellers release a larger amount into the market when the price goes up, right? So it's all about the price good, then I hit in that market. All right, state one benefit of having different market segments for agricultural products. And so we jump to our textbook looking at the market segments. They have it nicely outlined here, where they say market segments speaks to when you split up your market into different areas, different groups. So right here are the hotels, the grocers, restaurants, etc. So benefits, right? There are a lot of benefits, right, for having different market segments. One of the key one is higher profit for the business. Customers have different incomes. By segmenting markets, businesses can raise average prices. So you see, when you have different markets, you can have different prices for the same product. Because understand that in a restaurant versus a grocer, you can carry up the price when you sell into a restaurant or a hotel because they are then going to add value to that product. And so you can change your prices for the same product. So you're able to, get different prices in different markets. Also, share the market segment through careful segmentation and targeting. Business can become competitive and their products be preferred choice for customers and distributors. So when you divide your market, right, into different segments, you're then able to supply different things to different people at different prices, right? So look at that. You look at hotels, restaurants, supermarkets, green grocers. Now you're able to, so let's say, okay, supply the grocers with maybe this particular type of potatoes. Or, sometimes, for example, when you have different type of carrots, different size, the restaurant might not care how the carrots look, or the hotel might not care how the carrots look because they're gonna put them in a recipe. Whereas the green grocers in supermarkets, you want them to look a certain way because you have to display that for the customers. So now we're able to supply different segments with different types of products. So you can plant this one for that segment, this one for that segment, and so you're expanding your offering as an as a farmer. So that's an example of when we're talking about matching the customer's need, right? Customers are different. Sometimes separate products are needed for each market segment. So you might have the jumbo nice carrots for the supermarket segment. Then you might have the different one for the restaurant because they're going to add it to maybe a cake or something like that. So you're able to match the customer's need. And so you, as a farmer, you're now able to say, okay, I can supply this one. So I can have a low-cost product here, a high-cost premium product here, different things like that. So it just opens up the market wider for you to diversify your offerings. And so you have a whole list out there that, can help you to retain certain markets, as they say, your customer retention. By marketing products that appeal to customers at different stages of their lives, a business can keep customers who might be thinking of buying a competitor's product, right? So you might be able to approach a certain consumer on a personal level, maybe to sell them on a personal level, and then you know what they want, you know what they like, so you're able to say, okay, let me put this aside for Mr. John, or let me put that aside for Mary. But then and then they will like that, they appreciate that. But then now you're able to also say, okay, these ones, they're not really marketable, so let me sell them to the restaurant, the hotel, because they ain't look good to be out there on the shelves, things like that. So you're able to differentiate your product because of segmentation. All right, next question in this section. Now, James wants to grow tomatoes to sell to different market segments in his country. He is not sure how to go about marketing his produce, so he seeks advice from the extension officer. As the extension officer, outline 3 steps in the marketing process that James can take when marketing his tomatoes. You must provide one reason for each step in the marketing process. So there are multiple steps in the marketing process, and so you can choose and just explain whichever one best serves you, right? We're talking tomatoes here, so whichever one best serves you, you can choose that one and explain. So let's go through all of them. So you have pricing. The price of the product will determine its success or failure. Factors such as demand, market conditions, and competitor prices need to be considered. Prices should not be changed too frequently, as this leads to confusion in the market. So of course, pricing is an integral step in the marketing process, because in marketing you have what you call it 4 P's: product, price, placement, promotion. Pricing is one of the only ones that actually directly influences your income, because what you charge is what you're going to get. You charge $5, that's what you're going to get for the income, right? So pricing is very crucial when it comes to marketing. If the price is too high, you might deter people from buying the product. If it's too low, they might say, well, that's kind of cheap. You really want that. You gotta be that just right pricing. So pricing. Advertising. Once the market segment has been selected and research has found out what the customer wants, product advertising should focus on the target audience. So advertising, of course, must be done so that people can be informed, so they know what you have for sale, what you have right now. You throw up an IG post, you throw up a WhatsApp, or you go jump on Facebook, right? Take a pictures of your tomatoes and stuff like that. People know, okay, we have these for sale, what the price is, etc., etc. So of course you need advertisement to get the information out there for your product. Now, labeling and packaging, you can choose if you want to or not. In agriculture produce, sometimes labeling and packaging is not essential, but you can still, right? You can say, okay, we are selling tomatoes 3 in a pack, so you put 3 nice ones in there so that people can able to come and buy and carry them in a convenient manner, because packaging helps with the convenience of transporting these products, right? So Customers will look at the label and package and form first impressions of your product. It should be clear what you are selling. Sometimes information about it was produced or unique selling point. For example, an international hotel may pay more for organic peppers, right? So if you want to look at tomatoes, you want to say, okay, mine are organic, so you can label it as such to get that crowd who kind of conscious about what's happening. So you give them information still. But like I say, labeling can be optional in some cases, but packaging still helps with convenience, helps protect the product that you're selling so it doesn't get squished when it's being transported. So that's a choice you can make. Distribution, a next step. How am I going to sell my product? And so with the tomatoes here now, you can choose your distribution channel, whether you're going to sell to the supermarket, whether you're going to sell directly to customers, whether you're going to sell to a unit, the agricultural marketing unit. So you have to choose where you're going to sell, and then it's going to be what's convenient, what's best for you, right? Sometimes as a farmer, you want to spend more time producing, so you let somebody else handle the distribution, selling, and that kind of thing of your product. That's up to you. But distribution nonetheless is how you decide to sell your product, how you decide to get your product to the customers. You can use online, you can use face-to-face, you can use the supermarket, whichever. But it's how you're going to reach to your customers. Of course, you have a next step, assembling. You first do the process of keeping goods purchased from different places at a particular location. This ensures that there will not be any interruption in raw materials to make a product. Right? So gather all the tomatoes, put them in one spot so that when somebody come to buy, you have them right there ready for sale. You have all them stored maybe in whatever chill box you might have, so that they are ready and are able for sale. Then we have sorting and grading. Very important, especially when you're dealing with agricultural products. Sorting and grading involves discarding the products that are damaged, diseased, that are too small, or overripe. That's sorting, so you pick the good from the bad. Grading is where you classify your products according to characteristics like size, color, those kind of things. So with tomatoes now, you want to get the best amount of money for your product, so you're gonna want to do some grading maybe. So you're gonna put all the big ones over here, medium ones over here, small ones over here, and price them accordingly. So you're able to differentiate your price based on the grade. Of course, sorting will make the products look more presentable, allow them to last longer, because you're no longer selling the diseased one or mixing the diseased ones with the good ones, because the disease might spread. Right? If the overripe and the squashing among each other, you remove the bad ones so that they don't mess up the overall look of your product. So you need to sort and take out the good from the bad. Of course, processing increase the value of the raw materials by converting them into higher value products that consumers want. So in this case, tomatoes, you can choose to say, okay, let me process them into maybe dried tomatoes, or let me turn them into ketchup, or into tomato paste, or something like that, to increase the value of your products. You can sell it for more. Storage, of course, that's part of the marketing process. You must be able to store your products properly so they can last longer, so they don't spoil too quick, and also you can maintain the supply of that product. So you have some in storage, so when somebody come, the customers come and want, they are readily available in storage. So storage serve multiple purposes. Keep them nice and cool and let them last longer. Also, cause your supply to remain consistent throughout the season, so that you don't run out too fast. You have some in storage, right? That kind of thing. And of course, transportation is the next step in the marketing process. That involves the physical movement of the goods from their place of production to their place of consumption. The geographical boundaries of the market, all along with how perishable the goods are, will determine transportation needs. So transportation, so you can get your products as quickly as possible from the farm to the final customer. So from farm to table. Remember, they are perishable. So the faster you can get them from point A to point B, the better it is for your the shelf life of the product. And also, you're able to get them to the customers that needs them in a timely manner, right? So all those are steps in the marketing process. They only ask for 3, but you have multiple ones to choose from, 6 marks. So that's basically it for question 1 in section 1. So we're rolling on to question 2 now. Differentiate between gross margin and net profit. What is gross margin? What is net profit? So basically you can find them based on their definition. So gross margin equal to the gross income minus variable costs. It is the difference between sales and production costs. That is gross margin. It is the difference between sales and production costs. So how much ever you sold the products for minus the cost of production. That is your gross margin, right? That's a gross margin. Then you have a net profit now. So your net profit is a measure of profit over time, and it is calculated by subtracting all the costs of a business from the receipts. This means subtracting all the costs from the gross profit. Net profit can be shown on the profit and loss account. So that's a big difference right there. Gross margin is about your income minus variable costs. That's gross margin. Whereas your net profit, as it suggests, net, that's where you take away all of the expenditure and the expenses, right, from whatever your initial gross profit was. So the remainder now is your net profit. So this means subtracting all costs from the gross profit. So you made the profit, you're taking out all the costs, not just the variable costs. All the costs is subtracting, every single one, fixed, everything, all the type of costs. You take that from the profits that you got from selling the goods. That's the big difference right there, right? So gross margin, we're talking about the income, your gross income minus variable costs only, and you see it right there by the formula. Whereas net profit, we're talking about minusing all the expenses from your gross profit. That gives you the net profit, and that's basically the difference between both of these. Alright, table 2 shows income and expenditure for Cushy's poultry farm. So you have the whole list right there. So let's see what the questions are asking. State one purpose of preparing income and expenditure statement for a farm enterprise. Now, one of the main reasons for preparing an income and expenditure statement is so that you know whether your farm is making a profit or a loss. That's the main thing you want it for, to make sure that your farm is making a profit or a loss. Not if I'm making money or if I'm losing money. Because remember, your income is what you get in and your expenditure is what you spend. And so for a farm to be successful, your income must be greater than your expenditure. Your income must be more than your expenditure or you're making a loss, right? So you need that. And of course, with any record, the next reason, with any record, you're keeping them for historical purposes, so you can compare last year to this year, right? So you're able to evaluate and monitor what is happening. So that's the next reason why you're going to keep it. So one, so you know if you're making a profit or a loss, so you know if the farm making money or not. And two, so that you can look back and see, you can plan accordingly, know what's happening, so you can know what is bringing in the money, what is losing the money. You can make a budget, everything like that. So you're able to use this to inform other decisions, right? So those are some of the purposes for income and expenditure statements. Alright, from the information in the table, identify 2 fixed costs. Remember, the fixed costs are those that don't change based on production. So you have them regardless, whether you produce 1 pound of potato or 10 pound of potato or no pound of potato, you must spend on those costs. And so a fixed cost would be, for example, insurance. That's a fixed cost. Insurance is always a fixed cost. So you can see it right there highlighted. That's a fixed cost. All of them would be under the expenses, the costs. So insurance is one for sure. Of course, you have depreciation of machinery, right? Whether they work or not, every year the machines are going to depreciate. That's just part of it. Every year they are indeed going to depreciate. You also have your interest on your loan. No matter what, whether you produce 10 or 0, if you went for a loan, you must repay the loan monthly. So all those are examples of fixed cost. Taxes can be an example of fixed cost. Also, it depends on the type of taxes, but for the most part, land tax, property tax, whatever it might be, you're gonna have to pay your tax. Probably if it was maybe like say corporate tax or something like that. You know, that depends on your profit level. That might be different, but you still have to pay your taxes. So your taxes are indeed a fixed cost, right? So those are some examples. How many did they ask for? They only asked for 2, and so I gave you quite a few. So taxes, depreciation, interest, insurance. Those are most of the fixed costs on that sheet. Okay, moving right along. From the information in the table again, state 2 variable costs. And so variable costs are those that change based on production. Right? For example, feed. That's a variable cost right there. Fuel for machinery. That's a variable cost right there. Medicine for birds. Variable cost right there. Repair on equipment. Variable cost right there. Because those costs change based on the level of production. If I am feeding 10 birds, then the amount of feed I buy would differ than if I'm feeding 100 birds. Same thing for fuel for the machinery. If I plow 1 acre versus 0 acres, then you see where fuel can come into play. So those are things that are going to change based on levels of production. Medicine for birds. If I just got a batch of 1,000 birds versus a batch of 5,000 birds, that's going to alter the cost for the medicine. So those are just some examples of the variable costs. So we have fuel, feed, we have medicine, we have repairs, right? Now labor, it depends, right? Labor can be fixed, it can be variable. If it's permanent staff, then it's going to be fixed. So if you hire somebody permanently, then that cost would be fixed. So every month, whether they work one day or not, they are your employees. You hire them full time, you have to pay them. But if they are part-time employees, then you pay them based on the work that they're doing. But since they didn't explain what type of labor it is, we can just leave it for now. We're not going to include it in any of our neither fixed nor variable. It can vary based on the circumstance. Okay, Kushi wants to take a loan from the bank to expand her farm using the information from tables 2. So there's 2 reasons why Kushi would most likely be unable to obtain a loan from the farm. So let's look at and see. Now, one big red flag right here is that, look at that. Net profit is negative. No money you're making, right? We're making the money. So the net profit is negative, and so banks want to make sure, okay, if I give you this money, how are you gonna repay me? If you're making a loss, then not gonna give you any loan because you might not be able to pay me, right? So that's one reason why you might not get any money. And then of course you can see right here loan and interest, which means that they already have a loan. And so if you already have a loan, then you have to pay that loan. And so banks might say, okay, well, your credit to debt ratio might be a little too high, and so therefore, since you already have a loan, we can't give you this loan because you already have one. So the loan insurance can help make them deny you. Also, of course, your net profit and that even your gross margin, right? Because that's saying that you're not making the money, right? The dance is not paying for the lights, meaning that your production cost is higher than what you're actually making. So all those things would come into play as it relates to the owner's credit worthiness, right? So you might not get based on those things, that you already have a loan, you're making a loss, for the net profit, your gross margins are in the underwater, and so yeah, you might not be given a loan because of those reasons. All right, so that's that one. Okay, the last one now. Kushi still wants to be able to obtain a loan from the bank to expand her poultry farm. So there's one action that she would need to undertake to be able to obtain a loan from the bank in the future. So what can she do to make herself more credit worthy? All right, so of course she can basically, so we're looking at all of this right here. So obtaining a loan, right? So what she can do, of course, is pay off her debt, pay off her loan, pay off her debt. That would be one. That's one for sure. Make sure she have a proper business plan as to how she's going to make more money. Make sure you have a proper business plan. You always need a business plan to make sure you know how you're going to make the money. Then you need to, of course, have your records. Make sure you have your records so that the bank can say, okay, this is what happened last year. Let's see what is going to happen this year. So make sure you have your records. All those are things that will help you to become more credit worthy, right? And of course, you might need to get some collateral. You might need to actually buy some land, get a guarantor, get some collateral. When they see this, then they are able to say, okay, you're ready to go. Somebody gonna back you up. You have, in case you can't pay me back, you have the collateral, those kind of things. So all of these you can put in place to make, well, I'm saying maybe, I don't know, well, the farm can put in place. So again, make sure you have good records, make sure you have a business plan, pay off your debt so that you don't have that discrepancy. Make sure you have proper a guarantee or security so that they can say, okay, in case something happens, you're able to get that loan from us. So you have to put certain things in place so that you're able to, so you're able to be more marketable, right? Get your budget organized, get your budget right there, nice and good, right? So all of the things that you can put in place, you can see them right here, outlined here. Get some assets, those kind of things, so you're able to become more credit worthy. All right, so that's basically it for section. What section is that? Section 1, right? That's the business of agriculture right there for section 1. So you're able to do that, answer those questions, and you get your full marks. All right, so that's it. Like, subscribe, so you know when you drop a next question from this paper, the 2024 paper 2 for agricultural science.